giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Hip, hip. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. We're streaming live on YouTube. And of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! What's good with the Cowboys Nation? Yeah, it's that time of year. It's free agency. It begins today, although the Cowboys, Peoples, and Joneses will be on the yacht. You know how that goes. But the fireworks are kicking off around the league, and y'all know me. I like this part of the year just for sports-wise, just NFL-wise. So we're going to talk about a couple of the moves that happened around the league and why I think one of them could set the Cowboys up to make a move if they decide to do so. But we know how they go. But I'm still going to present that to you anyway. Plus, in a roundup, we do have some more house cleaning for the Cowboys. This is not draft week, but the Cowboys did get news surrounding the draft, plus another Cowboys player trying to position himself into a better situation. So we'll see what's good with it. What's up with your Bomb Squad?
Bomb Squad!
Yeah, don't get mad today. You know, I've never gotten mad at this point. You should be numb to a day like this, a week like this, a week or two like this for the Cowboys, right? That's why we do what we do in regards to the Catboy criteria. But and for those who don't know, for those who may be under a rock or just say, I'm not on social media, today begins the day where teams can, quote unquote, sign free agents. This is that kind of tampering period over the next 2 days. The league year begins March 13th on Wednesday, but teams can start to make deals right now, but they don't have to be cap compliant until Wednesday. So teams like the Bills have 2 more days to get under. I think the Dolphins might be over the cap. So a couple teams have to get under the cap, and they got 2 more days to do it. But that doesn't mean they can't negotiate with other players. And that's exactly what's happening. And it happened over the weekend. Got lots of deals that went down, some outside of teams, organizations, some of them inside the building. So we'll break those down. Got a trade target for you I want to talk about and tell you why it makes sense, although I don't think it'll happen, but this actually makes sense for the Cowboys. If you want to call into the show, you can. 351-999-3787 is the call in line. With that said, y'all ready? Let's do it.
It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time!
Time.
It's time! It is time for...
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Let me talk to you!
I was a little disappointed LA Knight wasn't at SmackDown on Friday, but I knew he wasn't going to be. I'll talk to you guys about SmackDown maybe a little bit later, but had a good time nonetheless. Let me talk to you, Cowboys Nation. So we knew the Cowboys were going to get comp picks for Connor McGovern and Dalton Schultz. It was just a matter of, was it going to be a 5th and a 5th, a 5th and a 6th, a 7th? What was it going to be? We finally got the answer this past weekend. The Cowboys will be getting a 5th and 6th round comp pick for losing Dalton Schultz and Connor McGovern. 173 overall for McGovern, 216 overall for Dalton Schultz. They now have 4 day 3 picks. They have a 5th, a 6th, and 2 7ths, but they do not have a 4th. However, thanks to the new rules, I think it was a couple years ago, they said, hey, you can start to trade comp picks. So now you can actually use these comp picks to either trade them to move up in the draft or trade them for players. And keep that in mind because we'll talk about that a little bit later. So we've been in front of this Michael Gallup situation for quite some time. If you've been here, if you're part of the Bomb Squad, we talked about Gallup being a cap casualty weeks ago, right? Because it just made no sense for him to be back on his contract, which if you look at it, it would have been roughly a $14 million cap hit. So then over the weekend, reports come out of Gallup's camp that he's been granted permission to seek a trade. What I'm trying to figure out is, what is he trading? Like, is he got a PS5 game? He want the new Spider-Man, so they're going to trade you God of War or something. I don't know what trade they looking for, but hey, they gave Gallup's camp the permission to go seek a trade. I have a hard time believing that a team is really going to trade for Michael Gallup. So if they don't, the Cowboys can then designate him a June 1st cap casualty, save $9.5 million on the cap, but then they'll get charged for the next year's 8.7 dead cap hit, which just goes to show you, not only did they, in my opinion, did they bungle the signing in general, signing Michael Gallup after the ACL, but then they restructured his deal last year after, well, I don't know if it was after or right around trading for Brandon Cooks. If you're trading for Brandon Cooks, that you got to know that Gallup's not your guy for the future. So don't touch his bread, but they touched it. I think they opened up like $7 million. I don't know that they did anything crazy with the $7 million, but they opened up the money anyway. Problem is, you push more dead money into next year. Cap will go up. Maybe it'll balance itself out. Nonetheless, they restructured the deal, and this is where they sit because of it. But like I said, the odds that Michael Gallup will be traded to me seem pretty slim. I mean, anything is possible, I guess. But the odds that the Cowboys get anything noteworthy in return, slim to none, and we all out of slim. I don't got to tell y'all about the Amari Cooper trade, 5th round pick, and Gallup's not even in the same stratosphere as Amari Cooper in anything, not as a player or from a production standpoint. We know we've seen Gallup's production over the last 3 years, right? So, hey, I'd be shocked if they can get anything from Michael Gallup. Here's the thing, Cowboys Nation. I've had this conversation with y'all probably for the last, it might have been actually around the Gallup trade is when I started to really dig on this situation. And what I mean is, the Cowboys are not legitimate players in that trade arena, right? We talk about that a lot. Maybe going out and trading third day 3 picks for guys. They've done that for sure. But I'm talking about in this aspect of the trade arena, right? Where can they go out and can they swindle somebody? Can they get a 2, a 3, a 4, a 1, or whatever? That's the part where it was troubling when I did my research. I was like 2 years ago, whatever. But today I decided to take it a little step further. I said, well, I know they haven't recouped much in the last 5 to 10 years, but just how far back does this go? I don't know how much this is talked about. I don't know the statistics on what this means for winning or whatnot. I don't care if you want to call it culture, philosophy, whatever the hell you want to call it. What I'm going to call this is an issue because you can't operate in this arena. What I mean is, since 1995, and I had to double, triple, quadruple check this, man, and I need somebody else to backtrack it for me too. But since 1995, the Cowboys have not netted more than a 5th round pick in any trade outside of draft day pick swaps. And the only reason why I stopped at 95 is because I couldn't find any more information from 90 from 90 to 94. The source I was using stopped right there. One more time, because I don't think people understand how ridiculously nuts this is. Since 1995, the Cowboys have not netted more than a 5th round pick in any trade outside of draft day pick swaps. You might be saying, well, what does that even mean? Well, Scott, they don't like to trade. They don't like to trade players. Well, they do. They just don't trade the good ones all the time or the valued ones at that time. And then when they did, we know about the Amari Cooper situation. Amari Cooper was probably one of their most highest valued, if not highest valued players they've traded since Herschel Walker. And they got a 5th round pick for him. For whatever reason, and I can't explain this, Jerry and Steven are reluctant to be aggressive in this part of it. We've seen them be aggressive in trading for, right? And a lot of people are scared off by it. They may be scared off by it. Joey Galloway, Roy Williams comes to mind. Some people will say Amari Cooper. Some people will seriously say, oh man, what a wasted trade. Amari Cooper, right? So they do have a history of trading for wide receivers, though. You know, just name those 3, Brandon Cooks. But they don't trade out. Other teams would do it. So I looked, right? I was like, who were sellers? I'm not even going to go this far back. There's no need to. I can almost guarantee you. If somebody want to do the math for me, they can go do the math for the other 28 teams. I did 4 teams. I can probably almost guarantee you there's not more than maybe 2 or 3 teams that it's this bad. Maybe none. Maybe only Dallas. Maybe Dallas is the only team to not recoup at least a 4th round pick outside of draft day. So I said, let me go look at some other organizations, some other front offices that are respected around the league over the last decade, right? And I said, okay, well, let's start with the top. Let's start with the Chiefs, right? Let's start with a franchise that, you know, has won 3 Super Bowls in the last, 7 years or whatever, right? All you got to do is go back to 2022 where they traded Tyreek Hill, right? So we know they traded Tyreek Hill and they got a gang of picks. 1st round, 2nd round, 3rd, all these picks. Cool. Easy one, right? We can go more. 2021, they traded for Orlando Brown and got a 2nd round pick. They traded for a player and got a 2nd round pick, okay? 2019, they traded for Frank Clark and got a 3rd round pick. 2018, they got a 2nd round pick by trading away Dee Ford. Let's go to the Rams. The McVay era Rams, they don't do this. The McVay era Rams are not notorious for trading away a bunch of people. They'll trade for, remember, F them picks. But they even got a 3rd round pick for Jalen Ramsey, trading away from him when they realized, all right, we're done here. Let's go down the aisle to our division rivals, the Philadelphia Eagles. In 2022, you guys remember the pick swap they did about a month out of the draft, where they traded with the Saints. They gave up a couple of their 1st round picks this year, and they recouped the 2022 first. They gave up some 1st round picks in 2022. They got a 23 first, 2024 2nd, an additional 3rd that same year. So they got a bunch of picks just for trading picks. And then there's the Carson Wentz situation, right? Where they traded Carson Wentz in 21 and got a 2022 1st round pick and a 2021 3rd round pick. Not to mention, when Andy Reid was there, this dude was able to flip these bum quarterbacks for 2nd round picks like it was nobody's business. Oh, but wait, there's more. The Baltimore Ravens, 2021, they got a 4th round pick for a guard they sent off. And in the Orlando Brown trade, they got a 1st, a 3rd, and a 4th. In 2020, they traded Hayden Hurst for a 2nd round pick. And in 2019, they traded Joe Flacco for a 4th. Joe Flacco. And then finally, the Niners, right? Well, we're on the wrong side of this one here. 2023, they traded away Trey Lance and they got a 4th round pick. So right there, That's their most recent. 2020, they traded DeForest Buckner and got a first rounder. And in 2018, they traded Trenton Brown and got a third-round pick. Those are just 4 of the more respected front offices in the National Football League over the last decade plus. And they have a gang of situations where this has happened. You mean to tell me not one time since 95 the Cowboys were able to trade away a player or do picks outside of draft day pick swaps to recoup at least a fourth? Do people understand how alarming that is? And let's think about it for a second. This coincides with the free agency era. And one thing that doesn't get talked about much on big wig networks, because it's not as sexy and cool to talk about, is they haven't figured out how to really maneuver in the free agency era in the sense of being as shrewd as they were prior to it. I don't know why. That's maybe because they ain't really football people. And this takes a little bit more nuance, a little bit more creativity. In fact, it was John Lynch. They asked John Lynch earlier this year in the offseason, like, hey, you guys going to be aggressive? He's like, hey, man, I'm always trying to be aggressive. That is every year, that is what we want to do. We want to be aggressive. We want to go for it. He said, but some years, you're going to have to sit on your hands sometimes. Man, that may happen. But you have to continue to be creative around it. And that's something I always say. I'm not asking for the Joneses to go out and spend $200 million to go out and trade first and second and third round pick every single year. But you can argue, I can count on less than one hand, not even a full 5 fingers, how many times they've been, I don't want to use the term all in no more because it's a buzzword. How many times they've gone for it, right? How many times they've been aggressive in 30 seasons. That's crazy. I go look at these other teams. I've seen them do it well over a handful of times in the last 5, 6, 7 years alone. So just keep that in mind. I'm always going to keep bringing it back. This is the time of year. Keep that in mind when you're ready to set a nuclear bomb to this team. Eventually it's going to happen, right? Players get older, contracts run out, they're gone, and you just hope like hell they're able to at least remain competitive to the point where you just keep adding players to it and they can get over the hump. But God forbid you do have to set a nuclear bomb to this thing. And these are the same people that don't know what the hell they're doing in the trade department. Haven't drafted a first round quarterback, because everybody's a first round, because we're talking about the quarterback. First round quarterback since Troy. Haven't signed a real free agent since Brandon Carr. And they don't know how to recoup a damn thing in the trade. And I digress. And that may hurt some people's feelings. Because what I found out over the last week is there are people who put the cape on for these boys. And at least I'm consistent in that during the season, what do I say, y'all? Hey, there's nothing we can really do about what they did in the off season. We got to figure out ways to get this thing done now that we're in the season. So for me to talk about them while we're in the season until trade deadline comes up is pointless. Off season, no holds bar. That's where you can hold them accountable. I mean, you always can hold them accountable, but that's where you have to really speak on it, because this is the time to put the pressure on them to change. And I digress. Let's get to D-Shift real quick before we move forward. Good morning, D-Shift.
Good morning, sir.
How we doing?
A lot of great things. Not much, Scott. Pretty good, bro. A lot of great things you just talked about, man. Pinpointed on the front office that doesn't know how to really run football operations. Yeah. Rely on the influence of a lot of people. And I think the biggest thing I saw Vach and Brian Broaddus talking about is they've kind of narrowed down how many people can influence them. So I think that's pretty good. But they they're finding themselves in situations in the draft where they're kind of accidentally running into the Parsons, into the Lambs. When they go out with a purpose, they end up picking up the Mozzie's. So I would like for that front office to. I wish we just really had a GM versus like the owner being the GM.
Yes.
But I'm pretty sure you've hit that over the head, and all these fans are we're on the same page with that. But I just want to see them actually get something out the first 3 rounds this year. But also, you see what Tyron's about to leave, and I think it's long overdue. But as you were saying, we didn't cop anything. We didn't get anything of value. He's just kind of walking away, still with production. So I ultimately, but that's just going, letting guys go where you can still kind of bring in guys to develop and address other needs in the draft. But now you got to probably potentially pick up offensive tackle. So you're just making a lateral move, and you never quite build this roster what it needs to be for your star players to get some help around them. So sad times, man, but hopefully we do something, bro. So, but here's the hoping, right?
Yeah,
take it easy.
Appreciate you, DJ.
Take it easy, man.
You too.
All right, bro.
Yeah, we don't really expect them to do much today, right? Or this week, honestly. That's just not their MO. But I will say this. And I said this about, who was it? Derrick Henry. I said about Henry, whoever you want, whatever running back you want. Jacob, Saquon, or Danielle Hunt. Any of these top-tier free agents. I would love to be pleasantly surprised. Don't get it twisted. Don't get me holding them accountable. And I think that's what's right now amongst Cowboys fans, amongst Cowboys Nation. There's this weird divide where all of a sudden fans are voicing their, not necessarily opinions, but just the facts on this front office and holding them accountable as, oh, well, you're not a fan, go like another team or something. That's not the case. I love this team. I don't love the Joneses. I can hold their feet to the fire. We hold the players' feet to the fire for 7 months. It's daytime now to catch this smoke. So don't get that twisted. But I would love to be pleasantly surprised, in free agency. However, they got some things they got to do to get enough money to even be in a position to make Sky pleasantly surprised. This is the updated cap, and give or take a few million, depending on what's going on out there right now. Remember, Dallas was over the cap by $9 million. And then they did the restructure to Zach Martin. So now they sit roughly at about $2 million. So they can still do Terrence Steele, Trayvon Diggs restructures. They can extend Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and open up a ton of money to be active. That's just not their MO. If they do these if they do the restructures, it's because they want to keep these guys here long term. If they do the extensions, vice versa. If they do the extensions, it's because they're trying to secure them long term. If they do the restructure, they are trying to generate more money. And they will have to do that at some point. They don't have to do it right now. I can almost guarantee you they'll do one more, maybe. And that'll be enough for them to go bark and bin shopping. Small guarantees. They don't really spend a lot of cash. If you don't understand what I'm saying, I got to bring on my guy Joey. But there's a difference. The Cowboys, and shouts out to Tom Downey, Tom Downey, the real Tom Downey. He did the independent research, and the Cowboys spent the third least, or maybe the least amount of total cash over the last 3 seasons. So they just don't partake in that. So you get roughly $5, $6, $7 million. That's plenty enough for them to sign bargain bin guys, because they're not going to give them a bunch of guaranteed money in this particular season. Then they'll extend somebody, restructure somebody, and they'll be cap compliant once draft comes around and have to sign other bargain bin guys. That's just how they operate, right? Let's take a look around the league and see how other people have been operating. Chris Jones got the bag, y'all. signed a 5-year, $160 million extension with Kansas City, the future Hall of Famer, 3-time Super Bowl champion. Going to be there for the rest of his career. Would not shock me if this turns into a, Steelers of the 70s, Niners of the 80s. They're already at the Cowboys, 3 in 5 years. It would not shock me if they're the first team to even, do a three-peat. Chris Jones, big part of it. A lot of people were, and this is what, that's the thing about fandom. We always get our hopes up, right? That's part of being a fan, is you have to be hopeful in certain situations. But Chris Jones was not one for me. Wasn't a chance in hell. I believe Chris Jones, the Cowboys are going after that guy. And he wasn't leaving. Justin Matabuke, shouts out to him getting a bag. 4-year, $98 million extension with the Baltimore Ravens. He'll be there for the foreseeable future. Jalen Johnson. This one a little bit annoying to me because he could have been had last year. I think Dallas didn't want to give up like a third or something, a second or a third. And he only went on to be like an all-pro corner, one of the best corners in the league, young, signed a 4-year, $76 million extension. Well, Sky can't pay him and Trayvon Diggs. I mean, I guess. I'd love to have to pay him and Trayvon Diggs, and then you got DeRon Bland for the next 3 years cheap. 2 years cheap. But hey, whatever. Not everybody, wants the best players. They want the Catboy stuff. But shouts out to Jalen Johnson getting the bag. Well deserved. Baker Mayfield signed a 3-year, $100 million extension. Got about $50 million of it guaranteed. Shouts out to him. He had a bounce back year. And it just goes to show you, man, like, situations matter. I always say that. Like, wherever you were drafted, that obviously matters. The coaching around you matters. The organization matters. Tampa has been nothing but a stand-up organization. They kept enough around Baker, and Baker played his butt off last year, man, and he got his back. Good for Baker, because he was looking like a flame out. Carolina, Rams, Cleveland, he's all over the place. And gets here to Tampa, and he's got some guys around him, and he's got quality organization, and actually win a playoff game. So shouts out to Baker. The big one yesterday, Russell Wilson, 1 year, $1.2 million deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you want to talk about one of the more obvious fits for free agents after Russell Wilson was cut, this was an easy one here. I mean, we'll see if he fits with Mike Tomlin, a bit of a tough coach, but it's not like he hasn't been, around long enough to be a veteran that's not going to fight against his coach. Let's say that, because he could have easily did that against Sean Payton. He'll be in Arthur Smith's offense. They like to run the ball. Russ is a quarterback who played much better in Seattle when they ran the ball. I think he's a bit washed, but, got a good defense there. We'll see. The run game is all right, so we'll see what's up with Russ. So he's going to get paid $38 million by the Broncos and then $1.2 million by the Steelers. So he knew the game, right? Like, I don't need to take a major deal. Just need to get somewhere I can kind of show myself off, and then maybe the next year I get me a Geno Smith type deal. Eric Armstead. This one is interesting because he was released by the Niners. They tried to work out a restructure, and Armstead said, well, what about this? What if I just test the market, and if I come back and go out to the market and there's nothing there that I like, we'll come back and we'll revisit. Rumor has it the Niners are lined up right now to sign one of these big-time edge rushers. We'll see about that. One thing about the San Francisco 49ers, like John Lynch said, they'll be creative. They'll find a way. They're not sitting with a whole bunch of cap, but again, there's ways to manipulate that. They can easily extend a couple guys, and that cap number jumps right up, and they can go sign a guy. They've been notoriously aggressive. They understand said window they've been in for like the last 7 years, and they've been aggressive in that window. And see, this is what I said the other day. Aggressive doesn't necessarily always mean retaining a guy like Eric Armstead. It could be, hey, we're going to let him go to go try to get better elsewhere, get some cap flexibility from it. And that's how we'll try to replenish. Now, they'll probably designate him June 1st because they'll get most of that money then, as opposed to now you only get like $2 million. I'd be shocked if they don't designate him June 1st. But nonetheless, they know that money is still there. Mac Jones traded to Jacksonville for a 6th-round pick. I just think it's funny on the internet. Everybody is saying, Mac Jones in a quarterback competition now with Trevor Lawrence. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if that really happens? It's not, but that'd be hilarious. But Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones gets traded. We knew this was going to happen. This guy, I'm actually shocked. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm not shocked he got something because he's young, top 15 pick. He's a quarterback. Quarterback tax matters. So actually does not shock me. What does shock me, though, is he actually went to the playoffs and had a decent, rookie season, and he went for less than Trey Lance. Real quick. Trey Lance was traded for a 4. Look, Trey Lance might be better than Mac Jones. Who really knows? But Trey Lance throw about as many balls in the NFL as I have. And they got a 4th. Mac Jones was traded. He got a playoff appearance. He got 3 years starting. Not great years. He went for a 6. But see, people be mad at me getting on the judge. All right, man. You could be blind to this foolishness of a front office if you want. Jerry Jeudy traded to Cleveland for a 5th and 6th round pick from Denver to Cleveland. He's going to pair with Amari Cooper. This will be interesting. Cleveland's been a really aggressive franchise lately. I think who was the general manager they hired a few years ago? This guy's been super aggressive. Not everything has worked out, but he put them in position to the point where Deshaun Watson goes down and they still go to the playoffs with like 5 quarterbacks, and they got their ass whooped. But hey, shots out to him, And it's this trade that leads me to this next situation. The Denver Broncos are clearly in rebuild mode, right? They cut Russell Wilson. They cut an all-pro safety, Justin Simmons, coming off an all-pro year. Again, a little bias here, but Justin Simmons is one of my favorite players. I know how I feel about safety. Cut a former first-round pick or traded a former first-round pick in wide receiver Jerry Jeudy. So you have to wonder who else could be on the block. And that leads me to an interesting target here, Cowboys Nation. In Courtland Sutton. The Broncos are in a fire sale. There's no doubt about it. These guys are trying to get rid of as many players as they can to recoup whatever they can from a trade department and in cap space. Last year, Sutton balled out. 59 receptions, 772 yards, 10 tutties. He's got 2 years left on his deal. And if Denver does trade him, they get a $9.7 million cap relief. If not, they can designate him June 1st and get $13.5 million. But I wonder if they say, well, if we can at least get a 5th, 6th round pick again, plus the cap relief, that will more than equate to $13.5 million that we can't use till after June 1st anyway. So the question is, can he make sense here in Dallas? If you're looking to upgrade at the X wide receiver spot after moving on from Gallup, which you're going to move on from Gallup, but you don't want to deal with the learning curve of a rookie, why not Courtland Sutton? What is the one thing the Cowboys have been looking for? Well, fans have been talking about in regards to the wide receiver position. We need size. Well, you don't get more size than 6'4", 216 pounds, fits the mold of Mike McCarthy, physical. Catch radius is stupid. We've seen him make ridiculous catches this past season and in his career. He did one against the Cowboys. Red zone threat. When you throw his way, he had 124 quarterback rating when targeted. That was 6th in the NFL. So he was top 10 when you threw his way. coming into the season, one of his better routes was the in-breaking route. He was one of the best in-breaking routes in the NFL. Cowboys run a lot of this West Coast where you get some slants on in-breaking routes. Big body. I tell you what, one of the things, Foots, we talk about on here is that whip route that, in the interception in the playoffs that Cooks ran. It wouldn't have been a whip route with Sutton. That'd have been a slant, big body slant. He's really everything you hoped and wanted from Michael Gallup over the last 3 seasons, but you just couldn't do it. A big-time contested catch guy last year caught 57% of his contested catches. That was top 10. Michael Gallup was 35%, and it continued to decrease. So what about the contracts, guy? All right, because I know a lot of people are a little wary of the money that it may cost. So he does have a pretty sizable cap hit for Denver right now, hence why I think he could be on the block, roughly around $17 million. But I do wonder, could you massage the trade, and this is not just for the Cowboys, anybody, in the same way the Cowboys did for Brandon Cooks? Remember when Brandon Cooks, they traded for him and Robert Quinn, and they said, hey, you guys take a little bit of the cap money. You guys take $4 million off of it. So if you take the $4 million off of it, or whatever it may be, even if you don't take anything off of it, you could still look at this thing as a 1-year rental. Yeah. Because if you look at it as a 1-year rental, you've got an easy out in 2025. No matter what happens, if they don't even touch his contract, the team, whoever acquires him, can cut him pre-June 1st and get $13.5 or so million, or $14 million on their cap. So the question now becomes, given the information, would you trade for Courtland Sutton? Interested here to know your guys' thoughts, because this is a position the Cowboys have always been interested in bringing in. All right. We talked about the Joey Galloway. We talked about Keyshawn is another one, but we talked about Mari Cooper, Roy Williams. They traded up for Dez Bryant, Brandon Cooks. I look into it because if Jerry Jeudy went for 5.6, I think Courtland Sutton can go for around that same price range. Maybe not both picks. Maybe you don't need to. Maybe you go 5 this year, 6 next year, or 6 this year, or 5 next. I don't think it'd take much. But here's why I would absolutely look into it. When you go look at the wide receivers, we talk about the size, right? CeeDee Lamb is your biggest wide receiver at 6'2". But oppo of CeeDee Lamb, do you really have a true X wide receiver you are confident in depending on down in, down out for 2024? I'm a Tober fan. I love the way he played last year and continued to grow. But if I have the ability to upgrade, Tober ain't stopping me. No, sir. I can be as big of a fan as I want of Jalen Tober's second year. It's not going to make me be be blind to what is in regards to Courtland Sutton. He's an upgrade, and honestly, probably a massive one, quite literally. He's an upgrade. Scott, what about the 7th-round pick, Jalen Brooks? Jalen Brooks ain't stopping me from upgrading at the wide receiver position. So, like, one thing we do here with the Cowboys a lot, and I'm guilty of it too with certain players, is we hold on to our guys. We're so emotionally invested. No, Jalen Brooks is coming. I'm telling you, he's the guy. Jalen Brooks is not stopping me from upgrading. Jalen Tober's not stopping me from upgrading. Brandon Cooks is 5'10", and I can't find Turpin on the field if he's motioning behind the offensive lineman. So you want size. I give you Courtland Sutton. Fortunately, CeeDee Lamb has not suffered any type of injury. Let's say if something were to happen. Now you got Sutton who can kind of step in that role when you still got Cooks and whatnot. Plus, everybody wants a bunch of weapons, right, in the draft. That's why everybody wants to go get guys. Well, guess what? You don't have to do that early if you don't want to. You can let the board fall to you. Brian Broaddus said something very interesting, and I would love to have a conversation with him about this. It's like round 1 is usually a need pick, and then after that, you kind of get into BPA. Well, I've always viewed wide receiver as a day 2 pick anyway, potentially. And I don't think Sutton even stops you from that because you can still move on. But now you're bringing that guy, he competes with the Toberts, he competes with the Turpins, the Brooks. And if he's good as you think he is, maybe he pushes them out. Maybe he knocks Tolbert down, and then when Sutton goes, if he doesn't stay for the full 2 years, now you got your next wide receiver too. But Cooks isn't the long-term solution. I don't even know that Sutton would be the long-term solution. But you also kind of have to balance long-term with right now. And right now, Courtland Sutton comes in and you give me a, CeeDee Lamb, Courtland Sutton, Brandon Cooks. And then I got young guys in the Toberts and the Turpin is kind of your little jet sweep, throw in a wrench and everything type situation. And you got Jalen Brooks is a young guy coming up. Sorry, y'all. I'm not looking at no Racey McMath or no, what's the other dude's name that we signed? Martavis Brown. I'm not. They don't exist to me. He's real. This is a real life wide receiver that's actually nice like that. So absolutely, I will 100% be in for making this trade. I don't think, if anything, it helps you in the immediate and it protects you in the future. Let me see here. Hey, Sky, I don't know how to pronounce the ref. I don't give a damn if Racey McMath was 21 years old with andinium in his body. I don't care. He does not exist. Oh, I forgot to ask. For those who are out on the Sutton, I do want to hear some explanations, right? Like, I always want to hear the other side because, hey, maybe it's a good point here, and I would love to touch on it because I just gave the point of why I would. I really don't see a why I wouldn't for me personally, unless it's like I'm not trying to give up a 5th or 6th round pick. I don't think the players on the roster stop me from doing it, but maybe some people don't want to give up the day 3 pick. So if you said, Scott, well, give me a reason why you wouldn't. Day 3 pick, you don't want to give up a day 3 pick. That's about it. But the roster doesn't stop me. They'll settle with Tolbert. Possibly, probably, honestly. It'd be a nice fit. Turpin can go. I wouldn't cut Turp. He said they haven't used him because they haven't used him. But I wouldn't cut Turp. He likes Sutton. He's an amazing red zone target. He was one of the best red zone targets last year for sure. Is Sutton due for payday? No, he has 2 years on his deal. And when his deal's up, he'll be roughly 31. Yeah, so he'll be unrestricted free agent in 2026. So he'll be 31. So, I mean, he got this year, next year, and I guess next year you can try to extend him if you want. But I think the contract fits because you can move off of it if it doesn't work out. And I'm looking at this in a tunnel. I know you shouldn't look at tunnel vision, but I mean, we got a lame duck coach who doesn't feel like he even going to be here long. That's all I'm going to say about that. We don't know what's going on with the quarterback situation. So I'm looking at this season as, hey, let's get guys in here that can get in here and help us now. You know how I feel about that. And then we'll deal with whatever after that. And if you go look at the contract, his contract's not going to hurt you after that anyway. You actually get a bunch of money. I love fans. McMath is going to lock up wide receiver 3. And what, like, I would love for you to call in, man. Because fans could just say all types of craziness and don't really, there's no backing it up. Can you please call in and tell me what it is about Racey McMath that you have this affinity for? I want to understand why a guy who's been around the league for a few years has not stuck anywhere, and all of a sudden Racey McMath is going to be this breakout guy the math ain't McMath. It's just not. It's not to me right now. So I would love for you to just explain to me why Racey McMath is going to win the race for wide receiver 3. Would love to. You know, curious. In the meantime, let's wrap the B Bird.
Hey,
what's
up,
good with you, B Bird?
How you doing today, bro?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
All right. Hey, the wide receiver acquisition for Denver, I think I would be for it, put it that way. One thing I was going to ask you is, with the team being 12-5 and winning the division, say like a Baltimore, not just us, but do you think the way for 2024 for us to improve and go farther is via the free agency versus the draft?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, Bird. I'm not counting on draft picks this year to get us over. I mean, I don't never really count on them, but because the Cowboys are in this weird, unique situation where you could potentially be looking at a different head coach, literally the same at this time next year. If I'm a McCarthy, I'm like, look, Jerry, I know y'all love to pick in the first and second round, but boy, if I could swing one of those to go get me an All-Pro, a Pro Bowler, give me that, because that guy's going to help me more than any draft pick that you take.
Yeah. And that's why, like, with the draft, we got a lot of people, and I think we just have people that are excited about the draft, the newness of it all and all that kind of stuff. And they get excited about it, but I'm looking at the Cowboys from their perspective. I said, man, look, it's nobody in that draft that's just going to get us to the NFC Championship game, right? That has to be done via free agency. And the other question I was going to ask you is, so to me, if you were really serious, and I want you to critique this statement I'm going to make, if you're serious about free agency, you get CD signed and you get Dak signed prior to free agency to free up money. Is that a true statement?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but we know the Cowboys have never been serious about free agency, so I don't even think they look at it that way. I don't think they look at them signing them and saying, well, we're going to sign them to free up money for free agency. It's more so we're going to sign them so we have them locked up for the future and we get the best deal possible. Free agency be damned.
And what I'm trying to say is, I guess I'm trying to say is that if you are another team and you had these two guys as free agents and you were a player in free agency, that would be a signal that you are going to be one, because, well, I signed these guys already to lose up money because I'm going to try to get some guys. And I'm saying that I don't really think the thing is going to change in this off-season free agency, other than it's going to be business as usual. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. That's why my motto for this year is I would love to be pleasantly surprised, B-Bird, because other than that, I'm not that I've ever drank the Kool-Aid or bought anything. You know, a lot of people say, y'all always buy with the Joneses. Who's y'all? It ain't not me. You know, you've been part of this show for 4 years. Not one time I've ever come on here and took what Jerry or Steven said serious in regards to being aggressive in free agency. That's just not been the case. What I've tried to do is present solutions given the way they operate, and I think those solutions are more realistic and they still could help. But hell, they rarely even go that far, and that's not even that far, B-Bird. I'm talking about guys that cost you $4 or $5 million. They don't even like to do that. So you know.
Hey, so I had one thing I wanted, because I didn't get a chance to comment on the Dalton Schultz. If you'll give me a moment, I can just comment on that. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
With you? I wanted to be able to
I had a little rant on it on Friday. It would have been a good show for you to be here during that point. Yeah. Go ahead. Do your thing.
So I wanted to just talk about. I had an occasion. I always talk about my daughter playing softball, and this is another one. So she was playing 12U, and they had played in a tournament, and her bat was really good. But she played center field, and but when she threw the ball in, she was throwing it in a high arc. She wasn't just whipping it over to first base. Well, the coaches kept talking to her about it, you know, and saying some things. I could see her getting frustrated and this, that, and other. So after the tournament was over with, you know, the coach brings all the girls together and talk to them about how the tournament went and this, that, and other. And during this time, me and my son, we go get the bags, go get the coolers and all that, put it in the cart, and wait for my wife and my daughter to come on. So after the conversation, they came in the car, and both of them had these bad looks on their face. And I said, what's going on? He said, well, I'm tired. My wife's like, I'm tired of them coaches always talking about her throwing. Always talking about her throwing. She batted real well. And I said, well, Madison, what's going on with you? And she said, yeah, they're always talking about my throwing. They're always talking about my throwing, this, that, and other. And so both of them was asking me what I thought. And I said, well, does your throwing need to improve? She said, yeah, but. I said, I don't want to hear after the but. Does your throwing need to improve? I said, yeah. I said, let's work on that then. So me and her went for months and went out to the field and threw the ball. And so what ended up that becoming was when she was on the high school team, she had the best arm, one of the best arms on the team. And what I'm trying to tell you is that I could have gotten my emotions and got behind that and said, yeah, those coaches are wrong, but my daughter would never have improved. But what I did is I said, no, we're going to work on what the truth is. And so what I'm trying to tell people is I saw too many people jumping on Dalton Schultz and trying to trash him. But the truth is the truth, y'all, and we got to face the truth. And I didn't like to see that. I saw some content creators do that, and I kind of lost a little bit of respect from him because what he was trying to say is that one thing is a microcosm of the whole thing, like the way they approach everything, not just beating on the glass. Too many people minimize it to people beating on the glass and this, that, and the other. And well, you ought to be able to work out. It's not about that, y'all. It's about every aspect of the way the Joneses run this team. They put revenue over football. And we got to stop this thing to where we start to attack these messengers if the message is correct. And so, look, you vet the message and say, do I need improvement in that area? I'm talking about personally. If somebody come to you and say, hey, man, look, this, that, and other, hey, you need to improve on this, you can get mad at that person because of, prior history, but then take what they say and say, hey, man, is this real? Is this true? No, I should have been working on this anyway. They are right, so let me work on it. And what I didn't like is that people kill Dalton Schultz for telling the truth. This is things that we've been saying forever out here, man.
Yep.
And so, Scott, I just wanted to call and just tell you that story, man, and just, man, hopefully help people out there, period, in life. Don't just disregard things that's going to help you grow just because you don't like where it came from. Take it, vet it, and say, is it true? If it's true, then do something about it. And that's it for me, Scott. I appreciate you giving me this time, man.
No problem at all. Appreciate you, B-Bird. Yeah. One of the things we talked about last week when this was the topic was the messenger got attacked more than the message. And that's social media. That happens. But that's why, I usually save my thoughts on things like that for the show, because then I can get it out in a coherent way without blurring any lines. Y'all remember this from Friday? Now I'm gonna let B-Bird have that. I'm not gonna go on another rant about it, but just know that's basically not the story that he told, but that's basically what I was getting at the other day. And we went into details, but I do think the message still applies. And again, it's not new. This ain't nothing new. Like, dozens of players have probably said this, but we know publicly at least a dozen have said it. So there's that. Fans are conditioned to blame them. Yeah. I got it right Remember I said Jerry was Vince and McClay and Steven were Briscoe and Pat? I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that to McClay. So McClay's the Rock in the corporation. And obviously Steven is Shane McMahon in the corporation. I think it's a perfect analogy, by the way. I got Toxic, but I know where Toxic's going. I kind of want to hear some other people first, though. And I'll get you later. Let's get DP. What's good, DP?
What's up with you, Scott?
Good morning, brother. How are you?
Yeah.
Yep. Hello? Yep.
Can you hear me, Scott?
I got you now. You kind of broke out there. What's up, though?
Oh, man, chill. I was liking what you were saying on that Cortland Sutton thing. Hold on one quick second.
Yep. Oh, DP, I'm going to have to come back to you, brother. You can't have us on hold live.
My bad, Scott. You called me right when I'm getting ready to order my breakfast.
Go order your breakfast, bro. Let me get Cowboy Mike. I'll come back to you.
All right.
Yep. Cowboy Mike, what's up?
What's going on with you, man?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Pretty good, man. How did the wrestling thing go?
SmackDown was fun, man. It was fun. You get around. What I love about going to live events is everybody that's there has the same mentality as you of trying to have a good time, right? So it was pretty fun. Now,
yeah.
The Rock segment didn't go as well as I wanted it to because I think they ran into a time constraint. But nonetheless, I got to see The Rock come out, his new theme, not new theme, his new entrance, the tension with all them in the ring. It was pretty cool experience, man.
Yeah, man, I got to go back home to Oklahoma, and I went to the state basketball tournament. Man, it was pretty refreshing just to get away.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. You cannot immerse yourself in just Cowboys. Not this team. If you a Chiefs fan, maybe. If you just immerse yourself in Cowboys and that's it, you're gonna drive yourself crazy.
Yeah, exactly, man. That's how I felt. And everybody that was like sitting around me, you know, you get to talking about the game or whatever, and everybody's like on the same page. It was really cool, man. So I know you had a good time.
Had a good time, brother. What's on your mind, though?
Hey, man, big ups to B Bird too, man. Gross is the separator of men. He's exactly right on that. But what I really wanted to talk about was Courtland Sutton.
Yep.
Man, I've liked that guy for years now. Man. Good quarterback with him either. He's still productive. That would be a hell of a deal if we could pull that off.
I mean, it's right up there. It's right up their alley. You know, they like they love trading for wide receivers, and I don't think it's going to cost a crazy amount of picks. I think it'll cost you day 3 picks, and you could argue.
Did I lose
it? Hello? You got me?
Nah, it's kind of breaking up a little bit.
Oh, all right. Let me. I know it can be a little bit difficult to hear me sometimes on there. So, but what I was saying is, you could argue the specific position that he would play here, the X. Now that Gallup is gone, is technically it needs to be filled, and obviously you can do that in a draft. But even if you trade for Courtland Sutton, you can still take an X later in the draft if you want to develop him.
Right. And I do, man. It's funny you said that about Brooks because probably about a month ago when I called, I was asking you about Brooks. But I do really like Brooks. But you're right, man. We need the now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
go to the drive-through, man, and get a steak.
I'm with you. I like Brooks. I like what I saw from Brooks. But none of the Jalen's. Jalen Brooks, Jalen Tolbert, none of them Jalen's is stopping me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's no different than the draft, right? I think we had this conversation. I don't know if it was when Foots was here or maybe when Vacha showed. It was no different than, hey, if one of these ridiculously stud wide receivers falls to you in a value position, I don't think you say, we got Jalen Tolbert, we got Jalen Brooks. Like, nah, I think you have room to still take said player. Depending where it's obviously at in the draft, depending what else you need, what you've done in free agency or trades. But if you get a Courtland Sutton, I do think that can eliminate it at least early in the draft, like round 1, 2, unless value falls to you. So I just think it makes sense.
Man, when is the last time we had a big receiver that can run? Besides, to me, CD he like you said, 6'2", 6'3", but I'm talking 6'4".
Yeah, 6'4", 216 is a different animal. Yeah. Maybe Keyshawn Johnson.
I mean,
that's like the last time I remember us having like a 6'4" wide receiver. That was starting like that. Everybody else is roughly around 6 foot to 6'2", but 6'4", you're talking about like Keyshawn. Oh yeah, Terrell Owens. That's a good one. Terrell Owens.
I mean, that's your.
Dez is 6'2" though. That's
guy.
a big boy too though. I would put.
You run him on the slant, he's just gonna box the DB out, and that's what we need.
100%. I mean. He fits the X position beautifully, 100%.
But yeah, man, I'll take the rest off the air. I just pulled up to work, man. But I appreciate what you do, man. All right.
Thank you, bro.
Y'all take care.
You too, man. Let's try to get DP back on real quick, and then I got one more late minute buzz to discuss, and we'll finish off the phone lines here. DP, we got you back.
All right, my bad, Sky.
Got you. All good.
Yeah, man, but I agree. I think Courtland Sutton would be a great fit for Dak. Give us a true X receiver that we honestly haven't had since Dez was around.
Fair.
I like the fact Bill didn't put up a bunch of yards last year, but he did. He had 10 touchdowns, so that obviously shows the red zone threat he can present, which obviously was a problem area last year, so I think he helped fix that. Personally, I think that a lot of our issues really have been to mismanagement of the roster. As I said earlier, we hold on to players a little bit too long. I've been saying it since the season ended. I think that as much as I like him, stand-up job for us, we should be looking to move Malik Hooker while he still has value. Dude's been healthy the last couple of years, whatnot. He's been very productive. We might as well move on from him now, because in another year till he's going to be too old to get anything from. But we do got 3 young safeties in the room that have shown that they had the ability to play. So the Broncos just cut Justin Simmons off from Hooker for Sutton. At least they get some.
The problem with Malik Hooker and trying to get value is he's devalued because there's just too many safeties in free agency now. So it's like, well, why would I trade you a 4th-round pick when I can just go get me a safety in free agency? So
yeah, but what I'm saying is with Malik Hooker, you got a proven free safety. Y'all just cut y'all free safety. Getting ready to get rid of this dude so you can save that money. Malik Hooker's what, $2 million?
Yeah, he's really cheap. But my point is, if you're in you gotta think about the other side. If I'm trading for Malik Hooker and you're trying to get something of value for Malik Hooker, which if it's later than the 4th-round pick, it ain't much value to me. But let's say 4th-round pick. Let's just say 4th. What if I'm them? Why would I trade my 4th-round pick when I can just go sign a guy, keep my pick, and still draft? That you would say probably arguably or not even arguably is better than Malik Hooker. I'll just go get the better player, keep the draft pick, and go draft another guy. So that's what I'm saying. Like right now, it's tough because the free agency market for safeties is a lot. So,
yeah, I hear that. I'm just saying, if they're already trying to get rid of them, why not at least offer something of value that they can use?
Who's trying to get rid of them? What are you talking about?
I'm saying if you offer to the Broncos Hooker for Sutton, they're trying to get off the Sutton contract. Malik contract much smaller.
Okay, I thought you were just talking about
since they're gonna lose the dude.
You're talking about trading Malik for Sutton. That's a different discussion. Now you're talking about player for player. I mean, if you get in conversations with Denver and Denver says, hey, we like Malik Hooker, can you include him in the package? I'm like, okay, I'll include him in the package, but I need to get a 3rd or 4th-round pick in return. Like, I'm trying to swindle teams like we've been, not say we've been swindled, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to get more. I'm not going to trade Malik Hooker. If I can get Sutton without trading Malik Hooker, I'm not doing that. I'll just trade a 5th or 6th-round pick for Sutton and keep Hooker. Like, Hooker's not costing you a lot of money right now. It's pointless to trade him unless you're getting a good deal in return. So let's use your example. Malik Hooker for Courtland Sutton and give me a 4th or 5th-round pick in return too. Like I need something to come back with that. I can't just trade him player for player because that takes depth away from one position and gives it to another when I could just keep the same depth and get that guy for draft picks, if that makes sense.
I just don't think, like I said, we short a couple draft picks. I think that's just a way to be able to maneuver the roster. I do think that Wilson, Thomas, and Izzy would be a solid 3 SA. So that's why I was coming.
But your point stands, and you just use Hooker in that we don't make trades. We don't trade guys. Yeah. A Hooker could be a guy. I know Byron Jones was a trade guy years ago. He let him walk. Got the comp pick though. I mean, you've had opportunities to do it.
Yeah. Like I said, it's just a thought. No, I mean, I honestly don't think it's something that we'll do. Like I said, Stephen Jones is kind of proven year in and year out to be a lazy personnel manager. To hold on to guys too quick, or unvalued or something stupid. Guys leave and are better, or they leave disgruntled, and we don't want to hear about it.
Having a hard time getting that what you just said, man, kind of breaking up. But appreciate the call though, DP.
It's all good, Scott. I'll holler at you again.
Yeah, yes, sir. Let me get Toxic, and then I got my last point here. What's good, Toxic?
Good morning, Sky. Hope you had a fun weekend. Finally got to see The Rock. Not a big wrestling fan, but I'd imagine you got to see it finally.
Finally, yes.
Very, very happy for you. So congrats. And and for you and your family about to go through a big moment. So just wanted to shout out to you and your family, and thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you, man.
Now let's get down to brass tacks. So I got a question for you. We talk about all in quite a bit, and you just did an analysis, and you're going down a rabbit hole, which is great, comparing how our front office moves compared to pretty much any other front office in all of sports, backwards as hell. And this is the same front office that hit the Powerball 2 times in a row, in a sense that you had 2 franchise quarterbacks. One was a undrafted free agent, and the other was a compensatory 4th-round pick who you tried to not draft.
Hello?
What kind of scary creation do you think this team would make?
You kind of went out for about 5 seconds. You said compensatory 4th-round pick you tried not to draft, and then...
Oh, I'm sorry. And they still did nothing with it. So imagine this front office that's been proven to be beyond incompetent already said, you know what, we're going to go all in and spend a ton of money in free agency and a ton of money and trade draft picks away. What pile of hot shit do you think this team would turn into still? Do you think they would still get fleeced? Do you think we'd be signing guys way overpriced in free agency that wouldn't be any good? Like, how incompetent do you think this team would still be if they actually did go all in? Like, it wouldn't look like the Rams.
That's what I said to one of the commenters. I was like, because people always say, well, they must know what they're doing, 12-5 the last 3 years. I'm like, if that's the goal, then yeah, awesome. But imagine if they actually were ran like an actual football organization where there's a owner, then the owner is separated from the president is separated from the general manager.
Yeah.
And then there's a assistant general manager, and then there's a head coach who runs everything. And you know what I'm saying? Imagine if it was ran that way, what could have happened? What could have happened by now? But it's not.
Yeah.
4 of those positions are in one, and then the other 2 are with his son. So there is, we hold all these players accountable, right? We always talk about accountability, but there is none with the guys at the top. And if you think that's not an issue, then you're just naive.
No, I 10,000% agree with you. It's an issue. I just wonder that if Jerry Jones and they're doing these bargain bin shoppings and it's clearly not working out, I could just only imagine the guys that keep getting fleeced by everyone else. Some middle-of-the-road free agent walks in there in the office, and the Jones are like, we're going to make you the highest-paid guy because X, Y, and Z, because they can't – they just sound like the types of guys that can't negotiate for shit, period. So even if they were to try to go all in, it would still just be a giant cluster F, and they would still – okay.
So you're basically saying, Toxic, even if they legitimately went all in, you don't think they have the acumen to do it correctly?
10,000% yes. I think they are about as useless as Anne Frank's drum kit when it comes to football knowledge.
So let me give you this. This would be my retort to that, trying to be on a positive side. If they were to legitimately do that and not change anything, right? He's still the owner, general manager, president. His son is still the vice president of football operations, the real general manager, and then Will McClay. My only pushback would be, well, if they were legitimately going to say, yeah, we'll open a checkbook, we'll be aggressive or whatever, then Will McClay would be that kind of ace up their sleeve, where I think McClay can, because remember, McClay is the Uber Eats driver. They tell McClay what they want, right? You go to the grocery store and you get it. And then if you go look at Uber Eats or DoorDash or whatever, they have this option of substitute. Meaning, hey, if that's not there, then you get this. So if they don't got the zebra cakes, then I want the oatmeal raisin cookies. You know what I mean? So if Will McClay is given the ability to, if they say, well, all right, Will, you ain't got to go down the price right this year. We're not sending you the price right.
Yeah.
You can go to Wegmans. Okay? You can go to Wegmans. You can go to the deli section. We going hard. You get some crabs, some lobster. So if he gives them a more expensive or extensive list, I think McClay could possibly do something with that. I do. So that would be my pushback. I feel like McClay will keep them in check in regards to that, because let's be honest, he's keeping them in check shopping at Price Right.
I agree. No, I agree. It's just something I was thinking about, because you see teams that have competent general managers, and they are searching for a franchise quarterback. I mean, the Miami Dolphins, for instance, people say what you say about Tua. Tua might be the best they've had since Dan Marino. It's really hard. And then when you find these two chuckle fucks over here trip and fall into two franchise quarterbacks, and they still do absolutely nothing with it. And it's like the insanity of that period.
It is nuts, bro. When you think about it, it's crazy. Excuse my friend. It's crazy. When I think about Rex Grossman and Jake Delhomme and Trent Dilfers and all these, not just them, but there's other quarterbacks that haven't won the Super Bowls that at least have been there. It's just mind-boggling to me that you stumbled into two franchise quarterbacks and somehow, some way, we can't manage to get to the damn championship game. And the only constant in those 30 years are the guys by the name of Joneses. That's wild.
Yeah. And that's why I am so fearful of them actually doing a rebuild. And that's, can you imagine them, like the two franchise quarterbacks they had were by accident. That's like my brother and I. My parents weren't trying to have kids. It just happened. And now, could you imagine the Stephen Jones going, we're going to go out and scout and dedicate our resources to finding a franchise quarterback? That absolutely terrifies the living crap out of me. Like giving a kid a machine gun.
I mean, toxic is going to happen at some point. I know. Yeah, that could go be here forever. And it may be sooner rather than later. But all I can hope for is that if it's McClay here, McClay has some damn sense. The only worry is that's a position that, boy, it took Steven to snatch that damn card out of his hands to get a Johnny Manziel. What if Jerry is like, God damn it, I got about 2 years left on this. I'm taking the guy I want, and it's Paxton Lynch, So that's the thing. Mm-hmm. You usually, and I know we're going on and on here, you usually have some form of excitement when there's a bit of a rebuild, right? Like, all right, we're tearing it down. I'm willing to sacrifice a couple seasons because we're tearing it down, right? I trust my front office. If you got a guy like John Lynch or Brett Veach or the guy in Philly or the McVay or the guy in Seattle, right? Like, you, as a fan, I'm sure you have confidence in these front offices.
Mm-hmm.
Think about this. Listen, man. I don't care how much you hate the quarterback, how much you hate Michael Parsons doing the podcast, how much you hate CeeDee Lamb, being a diva, whatever. Don't lie to yourself. When it comes time for rebuild, and it really sets in that, oh, shit, the dudes that we are supposed to have our confidence in getting the next quarterback, pass rusher, whatever, right? Quarterback, though. These are the dudes that we have to worry about taking the hand off of the nuclear bomb trigger in regards to a Jerry Jones. These are the dudes that we have to worry about being scared to actually supply a so much, veteran talent and free agency around him. These are those dudes when you really sit down and think about it. So that kind of, for me, it nerfs any type of rebuild. Hence why they don't like to do it.
Yep. And the last point I'll say is I think some fans, we get so much of a tunnel vision in Baltimore. And I listen and watch a lot of Ravens games when the Cowboys aren't on. And the best thing that happened to see firsthand how a competent organization is supposed to be run, and then you can't unsee it. And then you go see how this is run, and you're just B-Bird, if you're still listening, you were on point. It's a microcosm, and everyone needs to go listen to Voch Lombardi. He just did a post with Brian Baradas talking about draft stories. Shout out to Voch Lombardi. Check out that show. Please listen to
every
it, y'all,
Friday,
because it is just another glimpse into the circus that is this team. And
are you talking about the Campbell story?
Yes, exactly. Right away, he immediately undermines his head coach while he's trying to be a disciplinarian, and people are like, "Why isn't this team disciplined?" Because the tone at the top says you don't have to be disciplined.
So for those who haven't seen that clip, I appreciate you,
Sky.
I kind of want to just play the clip. I'm going to play the clip. Shouts out to my bro Voch. Let me lock this. I'm going to play this clip got a little bit more news. Than, let me find it. Now, this was a long time ago, but I promise you, not much has changed in regards to undermining, right? I mean, hell, literally, Mike McCarthy was hired and said, you cannot call plays. All right, let's see. Where's my guy, Botch? I think I saw it in the shorts. Yep. All right, let me see. All right, yo. Bear with me 1 second. Dead air on the radio is trash, but all right, here we go. Hold on. Here. He said the part you might have just missed here. We were in Wichita Falls, and it was Dave Campo's first training camp. Here it is.
Job as the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys. So we're all sitting in a meeting. Dave's giving his talk and all that. And so he starts to go through all these rules. He's like, listen, guys, don't want cell phones in the meeting. Don't want you answering cell phones. And he says it's a $200 fine. And just as his words are coming out of his mouth, Jerry's phone rings in his pocket. Jerry's got that flip phone, and he reaches into his pocket, and Dave kind of talking, and he looks over at Jerry. Jerry looks at the phone, flips it open, says, hello. And he switches the phone to his other ear, and he reaches into his money clip, and he takes two $100 bills out, hands them to Campo, puts them on the desk, and he just keeps talking his big speech about rules and regulations.
I bet they was just brand new too. They was just crisp $100 bills. He just flipped off.
Yeah, they were just like they just got printed. We're in Wichita Falls.
That's one of many, man. Fantastic episodes I got to go check out. If you're not watching them on Fridays, you're missing out on, not just things like this, but if you want more insight on the draft, I know there's a draft show that Brian is a part of on .com, but I feel like Vach and Brian, they bring up the film. This is extremely unique. They bring up the film and they break it down. I mean, we do it on the show, but you got Brian in there doing it. That's a whole different ball game. So things go well there. There's a lot more of that to come, future dates. But yeah, man. I mean, it's Jerry. Open up the phone. Here's the $200. I don't care about your rules. We've heard stories in the meetings. Hey, this guy needs to touch the ball. You're not calling play like that. That is what. See, people always say, "Well, what comes with the Cowboys, a star, and all this stuff." That's whatever. It's 2024, man. The spotlight. You can't F up anywhere. Period. But there is a legitimate, tangible thing that also comes with the Cowboys that, in my opinion, handicaps. I'm not saying it's impossible. Because nothing is impossible, but it handicaps you from the jump. Let's get to the last minute buzz that was coming out of ESPN Plus from Dan Graziano. I like Dan. He used to cover the NFC East, and an article came out, and they were talking about all the buzz they're hearing before free agency starts. And this is what Graz said. He said, quote, the Cowboys would love to upgrade their run game and run defense, but as usual, they aren't expected to be big players in the outside free agent market. Of course. Dallas is right up against the cap and has extension decisions to make on several of its own players, including wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, quarterback Dak Prescott, and defensive superstar Micah Parsons. I don't know why they don't need to do anything with Micah right now. But anyway, I wouldn't get too excited about the idea of, say, Barkley or Henry ending up in Dallas unless one of them sees the price drop down into the $5-6 million range, and which I think is unlikely. Does Dallas have some interest in bringing back Pollard with the hope that he'd be better with one more year between him and his 2022 season and the injury, and with some better run blocking in front of him? Dallas does, not questioned, but Dallas does have some interest in bringing him back. So here's the thing. Okay. the big name everybody in free agency is looking at is this guy right here, Derrick Henry for the Cowboys. And do not get me wrong, I would love to have Derrick Henry. The whole thing of him, buying a house in Dallas, already has one. That kind of got things going. Jeff, shouts out to my bro Jeff Kavanaugh. He came out and said, hey, man, he's hearing things where there could be some interest. There's always interest, right? It comes down to...
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
So it always comes down to. And if the market is depressed to the point where TP and them, Derek and Saquon boys, $5-6 million, I expect Dallas to be in the running. But I find that hard to believe. I find it hard to believe that he would only get $5 million, $6 million. And mind you, that's $5-6 million in the funny money. Like, average year, blah, 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 blah. What's the guarantees? Dallas hasn't, is Dallas in the market again paying $10+ million guarantees to running backs? I'll be pleasantly surprised if they bring in Derrick Henry. That's all I'm saying. I'm not against it at all, because you get Derrick Henry and you do what you did over the last few years with Henry is you pair him. And they did it with Spears last year. Dallas should do it. You get Henry, you go get you a complimentary back in the draft. If you say we talk about Zach Moss, TP, Austin Eckler type, then you go get you a complimentary back in the draft. Regardless, the buck shouldn't stop right at Henry. You still got other holes you got to fill too. So, but he's just one of them. He's the biggest name that everybody wants here in Dallas. And it'll be interesting to see if he can defy the odds of, most running backs, 30 plus, 2,000 touches. You start to see that steep decline. I don't think it happened last year. I still think he was a very productive back. He was a good back, but now you just don't know when is it going to happen. All right. Regardless, though, you get him going downhill, it's still Derrick Henry. Not that run out of shotgun shit. If he come here and you just gonna go shotgun and you just gonna no. That is probably the worst scheme you can have. In fact, what's his teammate's name? Taylor Lewan. Taylor Lewan was talking about, schemes and whatnot. He's like, hey man, that RPO shotgun, that ain't for Derrick Henry. I know, I was in the building. Well, let me tell you something right now. Everybody that's just like Derrick Henry solves everything. He only solves it if you play to his strength. If you bring Derrick Henry in here and you just running this dumbass line up in shotgun, we just going to pull Tyler Smith and run up the A gaps and B gaps with Henry. Good luck, sir. Good luck. Let's get 334 in the building. What's good, 334?
What's going on, Sky?
What's up with you?
Yeah, man, I just got one in the possible, that's all.
One in the possible?
Yeah, one in the possible.
Man, you getting cooked in spades then.
That's it. That's all I got. Hey, I just wanted to just say, man, I agree with the Sultan. Yeah, man, bring him in, bro. You ain't gonna never turn me down from you need to turn down a recent all pro, man.
Well, he wasn't.
Hey, you know what I'm saying?
Sutton wasn't an all pro, but he was damn good though. He was really good last year. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Shoot, bring him in, bro. To see that wide receiver room, bro, I love to see it, man. I love to see him. Just bring him in, man. You say they're going all in, man. Come on, man. Get some talent in here, bro.
Yeah, if you were to bring him in, I'm gonna bring this up real quick. Your wide receiver room looks pretty damn good. Like, I think you can do things with the wide receiver room right now, but the problem is I think the depth is a bit questionable. You're basically depending on Lamb and Cooks, and the size isn't quite there. You really only have, Lamb and Tolbert. I mean, we'll see with Brooks, but your top four guys, Lamb, Cooks, Tolbert, Turpin, not a lot of size there. But if you bring in Sutton, now you're talking about Sutton as your ex, dealing with the press and getting off the press, getting deep. We've seen him do it. He did it against Trayvon Diggs. I think a contested catch guy, slant guy, physical. He brings a different attitude, I think. And then now Cooks you can continue to do what you were doing with Cooks that was working. You were moving Cooks around, right? Pre-snap motion, at snap motion, and that's what was getting Cooks moving. And then Tolbert can continue to develop. And then Turpin, you sprinkle him in there. I would love the receiving core if you added Cortland Sutton. and then maybe you draft a guy day 3 as a development guy.
Yeah, and like you said, like a few some shows ago, man, you bring something in, and the wide receiver class that's coming out this year, man. You can find some good receiver this year, bro. And whatever round, you know what I'm saying? Whatever round you find them in, it's some talent.
For sure.
There's some talent.
And you can argue, you can argue, bro, that for me at least, I'll argue it. Hell, I'm looking at the trenches early. I'm looking at the front 7 early. In regards to like linebacker, offensive line, defensive line, I'm looking at that early as well. Like 3 of my first 4 picks have got to be in that trenches front 7 area. You could argue, depending on how you feel about the cornerback position, depending what they do, that could be up there. There's a lot of positions.
I'm definitely looking at the O line and the D line most definitely, and I'm looking at the linebackers off the rip. You know what I'm saying? Before I think about anything else. But the O line, I'm definitely looking at that first, and D line, I'm definitely looking at that as well.
Right.
And then, you know what I'm saying?
So if
everything else can like figure itself out.
So if I can delay the wide receiver pick and attack those positions, then I'm all for it, especially because I'm not trading for James Washington. This is Cortland Sutton. You know what I'm saying? But if you sign a James Washington, that does nothing. If I trade for a Cortland Sutton, then I can comfortably sit and say, well, listen, I don't really have any need to take a wide receiver unless the value is just too damn good to pass up. And if that's the case, then that's the case. But if you don't have a Cortland Sutton or something like that, some would argue, hey man, I'm taking a wide receiver at 24. I just don't want to do that, given what we have going on with the rest of the team. And plus the position is so deep, I'd love to get that position a little bit later as opposed to 24. But that's as I'm speaking right now. If they go sign a center, move what's name left tackle, sign 2 linebackers, that changes everything.
Just like you were saying, like you were talking about Burton. Like one of them players, I feel like they'll fall down the list.
Yeah, he day 2 guy for sure.
In the draft.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You can find guys like that. You know what I'm saying? On day 2, day 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, but the second thing is, hey guys, hit that like button, man. Got my guy Scott, man. You know what I'm saying? With a few likes, man. Hit that like button, man. Keep my boy going, man.
Appreciate you, big dog.
It's early in the morning. We got good Cowboy content, brother.
I try, bro. I try.
You,
Thank you, man.
Thank you, man. Have a good day.
You too. Let's wrap this thing up with Carl. Ain't heard from Carl in a minute. What's good, Carl?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm just sitting here up looking at this little free agent. I'm starting to get a little tired of this Cowboy, this going all in, man, and I'm hoping, dude, why not just sign? I don't think Derrick Henry gonna sign for like $5 or $6 million. Why not 7? You think he'll just, I'm here in Dallas. I'm living, and 7. We need a running back because Pollard's not a number 1 running back, dude.
Pollard's not on the team. You quite literally don't. The only running backs you have on the roster right now is Deuce Vaughn and Malik Davis. And Snoop Doggy Dog. I don't know who the other dude is. Snoop Connor, I think it is.
Yeah, but they was talking about bringing him back, That's what I was hearing.
Yeah, I mean, but you could bring Pollard back. You just got to pair him with a guy in a draft,
Right. Well, that's cool. I can deal with that. You know what? We talk about Dak Prescott, right? You could take the pressure off Dak. If Dak had a running back that can ball a little bit, if he had a running back to ball, you could take all the pressure off him.
Carl, let me tell you this. Every quarterback will love a respectable run game. There's not one single quarterback will sit here and tell you they would love a respectable run game. But I'll say this, and I'll keep saying it. You can bank on Henry if you want, but if you don't get the run game fixed, because the run game is not just the running back, shit don't matter.
Yeah.
If you bring Derrick Henry in here, and he's only going to carry the ball 9-10 times in the playoffs, and 8 of them are out of shotgun, it won't matter. So, if the running back part is just one part that needs to be fixed, the blocking needs to be fixed, the plan needs to be fixed. I just don't want fans to think everything's hunky dory if you sign Henry. That's just the first part. Okay, boom, you got Henry. What are we doing at center? What are we doing at left tackle? Or is Mike McCarthy going to, say, okay, look, I know I love to throw the ball all around the rock, but I actually have to have some competent run game in the playoffs. Like, it's just things that I question. I question if McCarthy is committed to that in the playoffs. I question if Solari is all of a sudden, or whoever this new guy that comes in, or Schottenheimer, they'll put together a run plan. I do have concerns outside of the running back position.
Yeah, and I'm with you with that. Yeah. But, actually, he wasn't my, pick for the Cowboys to have. I mean, that was probably my second pick. I like Jacob from the Raiders. I like him. Barkley Barkley is pretty good, and Barkley probably can do some things because he can catch out of the backfield. That's one thing we really don't have.
And that's what was so shocking to me. Y'all remember when we had a conversation about TP, and I'm like, look, if you're going to franchise tag Tony Pollard, then what you have to do is he has to be an elite dual threat guy, right? He has to be a guy that, okay, you may not run the ball to him 20 times, but he at least needs to carry it 13 and catch 5 passes, right? And they just never used him out the backfield. Like, what is the point of having a guy, former wide receiver, by the way, have a guy who can catch and be, a weapon out the backfield? You don't use him like an Eckler or a CMC or something like the Alvin Kamara. You weren't doing it. So and that was surprising to me. So if you say, okay, look, we're not changing the scheme. We are going to try to get a physical. I think we are going to try to get a physical presence, but we're going to throw more to a running back. Then Barkley makes sense, but Barkley's going to also be expensive. Barkley's injury prone. He has one good year in the league. He's weird too. But somebody's going to take a chance.
Yeah, and I get it. The thing here, I looked at Dallas. The 3 needs. We probably need more than that. The 3 needs at this point that I'm concerned on defense is we need a linebacker.
Yep.
We need a stud linebacker. We can't be having guys that's 6'1", 210 pounds. The Cowboys already under 5.
Yeah.
We need a defense that a lot bigger, and we need a linebacker. And I like this one and another corner because I think I heard somebody got suspended on what is his name? Defensive back. Was that just a rumor?
Cowboys?
On the Cowboys. Was that just
Bland, Diggs, Gilmore's a free agent.
Gilmore, I heard he's suspended for something.
I've not heard Gilmore suspended. He's a free agent.
I know you're a free agent, but that's probably somebody just playing around. And
let me ask you a question. Did you hear that or see that on Facebook?
I saw it on Facebook.
There you go, right there, boy. That's your problem, right there.
Okay,
on Facebook.
Yeah, I get you. I just some of that stuff don't be because I didn't hear it on ESPN like breaking news. I didn't hear that. I just sometimes I read stuff and I'm like, whoa, and it's not.
Nowadays, you gotta be careful, man. People, they want the clicks and they try to get you.
Yeah, but I hope I like the guy though, man. But I just Dallas just needed some players. Like they don't need to go like they just need some to fill some holes.
Carl, all they need is they need an aggressive plan. They just need an aggressive plan. If they didn't have to come out and say all in or nothing like that. I'm not saying I would have bought this, but if they just said, hey man, we understand the situation. Our coach is in a 1-year deal. We got a couple players in 1-year deal. We just have to have an aggressive plan and execute it. Maybe it eases people, but the problem is I don't know that there's ever really a plan in the sense of, hey, this is what we're doing to build on top of, as opposed this is what we're doing to react to. Oh, we needed a corner and a receiver. In the season in 2022, we didn't do it. We got in the offseason, and I praised them for it. I gave them a golf clap. I said, I'm going to give you a golf clap. And here's why. Because you were acting. You reacted. You're not proactive. So now you're just where we needed to be last year. So are we going to build on top of that? And we never did. So now, another year later, you're losing other pieces, and one of those corners you lost. Are we just going to build to get right back to it, or are we going to build on top of that? Because that's really what's been happening under the McCarthy era. We've just kind of been keeping status quo, and that's been fine. 12-5, 12-5, 12-5, and that works for the Joneses. That works for a lot of fans. But at some point, you got to say, okay, look, not only one 12-5 season, not two 12-5 seasons, but three 12-5 seasons. At some point, you got to say, hey, we have to be aggressive here, because clearly just doing the same damn thing is only going to get us to 12-5, and once we get to the playoffs, not enough.
Yeah, I feel you. And my last is with Sutton. Dude, if you could pull something off with this guy, Sutton,
yeah,
I'm happy. If you could pull something, because I was real pissed when I saw that Judy got traded. I'm like, really?
Why was you mad at Judy trade?
Yeah, because what they gave up for him. And Dallas was trying to get him, but I think they was asking for more than what.
I mean, I think look, Judy has some talent, but he has some issues with him too. I would honestly rather Sutton.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like when I see Sutton, I'm like, go get him.
Mm-hmm.
It did this year. You probably would, if you could get Sutton, and I heard you probably wouldn't have to draft a receiver.
No, I would take that off my board in the first 2-3 rounds unless some ridiculous value fell to you.
Right? Yeah, that's what you said, and I agree 100% with you though. But we need. I hope Dallas. I hope they.
In closing.
They get a running back, dude. If it's not Henry, I hope it's you know what I was praying for?
What's that?
And I let you go. You know what I was praying for? I know Green Bay having problems because Jones don't want to take a pay cut.
Oh, Aaron Jones.
Become a free agent. He might become a free agent because he don't want to take a pay cut. I dreamed of a back like him.
Aaron Jones had a resurgence in that back half of the season for sure, and he owns AT&T Stadium, so shit. Can't beat him, John.
Oh, yeah. I just do. I did not, and I swear, I did not watch. It took me a month to watch football again. I watched the Super Bowl, but as far as all that, that just broke me completely down of them losing that. And not only losing, but just getting torched, blown out.
It was.
I couldn't stand myself, man.
Yeah. It was one of those things, man. One of those speechless moments. But I appreciate it, Carl. Keep on keeping on, man. We still here. Win, lose, or draw, right?
Take it easy, buddy.
Appreciate you.
All right, later.
It's Carl from Wisconsin. Well, Al, we're not always right either, Al. Al said, what is it? Al said, why can fans and YouTubers see what needs to be done and this front office can't? Well, we're all guilty of sometimes reacting emotionally as well. But I say this, and I said this before. I can round up about 5 of us, and I feel like we can do some things. I feel like we can do some things, but I don't think it's that difficult, though. Let me say this. When I say that difficult, I mean to come up with a philosophy of success. That doesn't mean it's going to work out. I just don't think we necessarily have it, because I don't think the Joneses have the ball. Flat out. And I think that's what it takes in this day and age. You got to have some cojones. My apologies to the women watching. If you have that first, then the acumen and the IQ of how to put together, and all that comes, right? And it doesn't guarantee anything except that you tried to be better, not be the same. And that's all. If it fails, at least I know it failed with you trying. I digress. Let's get to super chats. Shouts out to AA Ron Drop 5.
Super chat.
AA Ron said, I believe they don't pull the salary cap triggers proactively on purpose. Make it seem like they are up against the cap. I wouldn't put anything past them. But also, these agents aren't dumb, you know? And here's the funny thing. We are not dumb I say anymore, but some fans. We are more knowledgeable as fans now, right? Like we go on Google. There's Spotrac. There's Over the Cap. There's all these different things. So you can't really fool us. You know what I mean? Can't really fool us. Shouts out to John Phelps.
Super chat.
Drop 10 and said, Dallas needs to sign their free agent targets quickly so that they can be better identifying in the draft when they should go with the best player available or draft for needs. So, they don't sign anybody quickly usually. But here's the thing: the draft isn't for another month and a half, April 27th. So they don't have to do anything quickly, unfortunately. And that's how they operate. They operate in the sense of, hey, we got time. We're gonna ride out this. Y'all see this, right? I don't know if y'all noticed this, but that's Jerry and Steven on the yacht, because that's usually where they are during the first wave for agency. They're on the yacht. So John, they technically don't, because there's time lots of time between now and the draft, and they feel like if they partake early, they'll get outgunned, spending a lot of money, yada yada yada, whatever though. But this is why we bring up Catboy criteria. They don't necessarily have to partake right now, because let's be honest, they're not signing any of these top dudes anyway. But there are some quality guys, specifically at positions of need, where the positions have been nerfed. Let me see if this is still up. Yep. Positions like running back, linebacker, safety markets to be similar to the past. This comes from Diana Rossini. Lower deals than we may imagine. Depressed market for those positions. A lot of one-year deals. So in regards to running back and linebacker, I feel like they can, if they don't get them this week, they can at least get them next week, and there'll be upgrades on what you had, or they'll at least fill out that room to be respectable. So they're not going to sign nobody this week probably. And if they do, it's likely going to be at a discount, unless we're pleasantly surprised. And then we all rejoice. By the way, if you're like, well, okay, Scott, you never explained to me what them being on the boat means. Toxic Tom dropped it right there for you. Just type in I don't want to disrespect the woman there. Boats and just type that in. You might see Jerry and them pop up. But they on a yacht, man. They on a yacht, they chilling, they not worried about nothing. Let me tell you who else is out there chilling too. Hey, Mike McCarthy out there chilling too. Mike McCarthy ain't really worried about no damn free agency right now. I'm waiting for the next McCarthy presser, and maybe I'll give it 3 pressers. But I have this theory building up in my head based off of the things leading up to the Zimmer hire, based off of the presser, based off of what I'm hearing now. It's just really weird. So I'm gonna wait till we get to the probably draft day presser in about a month or so, month and a half. It's like 2 days before the draft, and then after the draft. Yeah, something ain't right. With that said, thank you, Al. Okay, you got some examples here. Signed David. I'm out on Levante. Oh no. David's fine, but I don't think he'll leave Tampa. Lavu or Aziz. If I put my money in Aziz Al-Shire. Autry at defensive tackle. He old, man. He old. Connor or the Gus Bus and draft. Connor. talking about Connor from Arizona? Is he not a free agent, is he? And draft a running back. I'm down with Azeez. I'm down with the Gus bus. For me, I would I like a couple other defensive tackles, but I'm with you in the sense of signing defensive tackle. Yeah, I'm definitely with you, man. Yeah. Shouts out to Stevie Mack. Yeah, we'll get some 3 Chuma Edogas up in here. 3 Chuma Edogas. All right, Cowboys Nation, on your way out of this thing, please hit that like button if you enjoyed today's show. Later on, Mo will be back. You might see me later on with Vach. I'll rap to him. I'm pretty sure we'll be on, given that it's free agency. But you never know. We're in that weird off-season period where they'll catch us a few times a week. He'll drop some videos. He'll give you the Brian Broaddus content, man. He on fire over there. So just keep your ears and eyes open. And then obviously keep your ears and eyes open for free agency. Again, not for Dallas, but surprisingly, not gonna lie to you, I didn't get a Professor O with the alarm, breaking news. I didn't have to press my button. Like, shocked. Usually on a day like today, and I think it starts here in the next hour or something, you hear all these deals. But we'll definitely by 3:15 Central, we'll 100% hear about more deals, and maybe we'll talk about them later. All right? Good stuff today. Appreciate y'all as always. Great calls, great chat. Thank you for the super chats. Make sure y'all rock out with me later on or tomorrow if I'm out here later on. What that said?
Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button.
I got you, Al. I so badly wanted to play the song, but I also want to respect the women listeners, so I didn't play the song. But y'all get the point. We out there. Love y'all. Peace.
Bomb Squad!